We are joined by one of the newest signings for CF Montreal, Aleksandr Guboglo. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to the Balls Round.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now, do you go by Alex? You go by Alexander? Do you have a preference, or is it really just whatever people use?
Honestly, I don't mind. It's whatever the other person likes to call me, but most of the time it's Alex.
All
All
right,
right, well, sounds
let's go
good.
for it.
Alexander is not a very common name. In Haiti. Can you kind of maybe give us a little bit of backstory about that?
Yeah, so my mom's side is the Haitian side, and my dad is from Ukraine. So I
Oh,
kind
okay.
of
Oh
kind of took
wow.
the Ukrainian name. Yeah,
Very cool.
Do you
Very cool.
speak? Do
Well,
you speak Ukrainian by any chance, or?
not even a little bit.
Damn. All right, good.
yeah. Well, again, we're going to want to start the show off by wishing you a very happy birthday. So at the time of recording, we don't want to date the podcast, but at the time of recording, it is your birthday, March
Happy
20th.
birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
You
Thank you.
have anything fun planned besides the podcast, obviously?
Besides the podcast, just hang out with the family, spend time with them, and you know,
Any special requests for mom for your birthday?
no, no, no. She's done enough. She's done enough.
Fair, fair, fair.
All right. Well, as an 18-year-old, most people don't have professional sports as something that's on their mind. They're figuring out, what do I do with my license, or what do I do with, how do I set up a bank card or something. You have maybe some different priorities in mind right now, being that you are a professional footballer. How does that feel, and have you really come to terms with it?
It's always been a dream of mine. So even though it's stressful, it's a blessing. Like I like right now I'm focused on soccer, school, I'm taking a bit slower, but like I couldn't ask for any better.
Well, let's kind of start a bit at the beginning, maybe, of your footballing career. I saw in an interview it said when you started out in Ottawa at 7 years old, you started playing recreational soccer, and you kind of knew right away that you wanted to be a professional. Um, what was maybe that starting off point, or that thing that really clicked that says, "Ah, this is something that I want to pursue as a career"?
Well, obviously it was performing back in Ottawa, like around the ages of, 13, 14, you really start to like get a lot more interested in it and thinking about the future that you have in the sport. But I'd say the main point was really joining the academy because it got a lot more serious and like a lot more intense. So I'd say that was the starting point of the career, if you could say.
All right. And at some point, you and your family decided to make the move to Montreal to join the CF Montreal Academy to continue your development. Alex, from a personal perspective, what were some of the challenges that maybe you faced during that period, and how did that help you become the person you are today?
Well, obviously the team they welcomed us in with open arms. The club, like it's like a big family, but the main change I'd say is the cultural difference. Different province. Back in Ottawa, it's mostly English. Here it's like pretty much just French. So that was the biggest change for me.
We always see the comparisons between Ontario soccer, Quebec soccer. You know, again, you kind of moved when you were pretty young, but what kind of difference is there for you?
I feel like since Quebec has a professional MLS academy, like I'd say it's a lot more intense because it's easier to well you have more of a chance to go the professional route if you're from Montreal because of the academy, of course, but both provinces very intense. Everyone wants to do the best they can in the sport. So yeah.
All right, and in Europe, we see a lot of your situation where there's a lot of youngsters that move on to pro clubs. But you spoke a little bit about school that you're taking a little bit. So what's your schooling situation like as a now professional soccer player? What is, if you can just explain to us a little bit how it works for you now today?
Yeah, so now I'm more online, so I
Okay,
can manage my time with practices and stuff. I'm taking a few classes. It's hard, but you got to do what you got to do.
favorite
It takes
subject?
the student athlete to a whole new level.
What's your favorite subject?
I think it might be English. It's a bit easier. But
All right,
Are
fair
your
enough.
parents like, no, my kid is doing CJEP and university and all that stuff? Or is it, are they kind of understanding that maybe football is the way and school is maybe a process?
Yeah, obviously, they support the decisions I make. So they understand that soccer is like the main focus right now.
That's good. That's good. Um, you know, growing up and coming up through the academy, not many people start off playing fullback. You mentioned earlier that you've been playing fullback for a while, but where did you initially start off uh, on the field, and what was maybe the one thing that eventually took you to fullback and wingback, and what do you love most about that spot on the field?
So back in Ottawa, the first position that I can remember playing was striker. Uh, and when I moved to Montreal, it was more like we played a 4-3-3, so I was a winger, left wing, but I could still play on both sides. And then there was a formation change. I think it was with the first team. The academy wants to replicate the same formation as the first team,
Yeah.
so we started to implement wing backs. And I just feel like since I've always played an attacking role, like with my explosivity and stuff like that, I was able to defend and attack. So I think that coaches saw that I had a potential as a wing back.
Yeah, I mean, coaches at the academy level, especially, super important. Especially, I feel like when a formation change, it's a pretty big thing for a kid. How are the coaches at the academy, or just coaches in general, who really helped you grow as a player and get to this level?
Honestly, all of them. But since I like it could go from Coach Esteban to Coach Max to the assistant coaches, the directors, Marinos, everyone has a role in that.
For sure. And before signing with the first team, you were invited to take part with CF Montreal sister club Bologna FC's training camp. How was this opportunity first presented to you? And what would you say were some? So that's kind of a two part there. What would you say were some key takeaways that helped you in your development during that time you were there?
I'd say it was good exposure to have for sure. Different country, different type of football. So I just learned a lot. I tried to learn as much as I can. The trainings were really intense. I was surprised by it, like really intense, but very good experience.
And how did this opportunity first come up? Well, how did they pre-position it to you as an opportunity for your growth?
So obviously last year there were some guys that went, and this year it was like me and a few other guys, but they just told us that we were gonna go to Bologna instead of going to the MLS Flex. So obviously I was really excited when I heard the news, but yeah,
All right. Did you catch a little bit of Italian while you were there? Did you learn
just a little bit, just
just
a
enough
little
to
bit.
get you by in the field? I
Yeah.
got you. So, the CF Montreal philosophy is that of a development club to allow youngsters of all ages to make that jump to Europe. Is this one of your long-term goals, Alex, to make that jump? And how much of a timeline are you giving yourself to reach that goal, if so?
I think obviously it's every kid's dream to play in Europe, including mine. So right now I'm just focused on getting better, doing what I can to improve, and whatever time it takes, I just hope that I could play in Europe.
All right.
I mean, I feel like integrating into the group is important. You got a lot of young players with the squad. Owen, who's your age, signed with you. How important is it to have not just young players, but teenagers like yourself on the team, and that way you can kind of maybe ease your way into the team environment?
Like obviously it's because I'm pretty close with Owen, so it's nice to have that type of guy on your team that you're close with. But yeah, I think it's important for young players with potential to slowly integrate with the team so that they could like become the best versions of themselves.
Well, speaking of young players with potential, Hennady Sinchuk's another teenager in the group. Have you and Owen kind of maybe taken him under your wing and saying, you know, welcome to the group, and let's get online and play some games or something, and help him join?
Yeah, well, like we tried to learn a bit of Ukrainian with him and stuff like that, but obviously right now he's injured, so it's hard to like vibe with him on the field and stuff. But yeah, really nice guy. We've talked with him a lot, so
That's
it's
good.
nice.
On the other side of the spectrum, what's you're now coworkers and teammates with grown adults now, grown ass men. What's maybe one of the funnier age gap things that have happened? That's just like, oh my god, I'm dealing with people that twice my age, and some of them.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised, but the humor is a bit similar. Honestly, like I thought it would be a lot different considering the age gaps and stuff, but everyone's on the same like they have the same jokes and stuff like that.
Did you ever say something that makes a player go, "Oh shit, I'm so old," and it kind of hits them like that?
You know what? Today a lot when because of my birthday, of course, like 18 and stuff. But no, not any jokes were made that made them realize that much. But
I coach 18-year-olds and they say stuff all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ancient now. I hate this.
Yeah,
yeah,
we're just trying to stay relevant. So, what is a player that you would say, Alex, that you or maybe over time it's changed, but what is a player that you would say you model your game after? Player or players that you might model?
I feel like personally, I want to be able to just play like myself, how I like to play. But I say similar players are Frimpong, Davies, just like explosive wingback stuff like that.
So
Yeah,
the debut is over, and at what point do you realize as you're going through the week that you might be starting that weekend? And how do you feel as the days are leading up to that weekend? You're like, oh man, I'm actually I'm actually starting this weekend. How, from a personal perspective, how when everything starts clicking in your head, how what are the feelings going through Alex's mind at that point?
obviously there's a little bit of nervousness, but I just try to prepare myself mentally, and obviously I'm really grateful to be able to start for the club. So,
That's great. Personally, what can CF Montreal fans expect from you this season? What are your personal goals? And again, everyone's definition of success individually is different. For you, at the end of the season, what would you call a successful season?
me, I just want to help the team as much as I can, offensively and defensively, whether that's defending my 1v1s, creating chances in the final third, but honestly, just helping the team and getting better every day and just being the best version of myself.
That's good, man. A little bit outside of soccer, though, uh, what do you do to maybe just relax, unwind from football? Because again, you are 18 years old. Football can't be everything. As much as we want it to be everything, you got to have some kind of release. What do you do to unwind?
Just hanging out with the boys, playing video games, stuff like that. Just normal teenager stuff.
Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that.
I
Yeah.
wish I knew what he was talking about. But all
You're not
right.
that old, Andy. You know what video games are. Come on.
I'm very old. Anyways, is there anyone in the team in particular today, or maybe the past staff or employee or players that you would say you vibe really well with, Alex, that you say, we really get along whenever we're working together, and who has maybe influenced you as a player or person that you are?
Wait, sorry. Is it just players or staff members? Sorry, I didn't
Whichever
understand.
one or both, whichever. Who do you really vibe with, you find?
Victor Laturi, he's been one of those guys for sure. And all the coaching staff, they're all nice. They're all welcoming. So
Okay. They just
Victor's talking to you about Scotland. How's that?
uh but yeah, Victor, like, because he's a bit closer in age compared to the other guys, so it's just jokes. He's funny. He's a funny guy.
all right. So CF Montreal fans have a game circled in their calendar. CF Montreal scheduled to play Inter Miami this season. So you will face some of the GOATs of Barca, some of the greatest of all time. And there might be the chance of facing the GOAT of all time, of Barcelona. How are you feeling about those games coming up, knowing that it's scheduled there? Again, I said might. We don't know, right?
Yeah. Obviously, like, it's crazy to think about even playing against like the greatest player of all time. You know, but super grateful and just really excited. Hopefully, I could like meet him and stuff like that after the game. But it's crazy to think about.
You have a club in Europe that you support that you like to watch?
Yeah, Man City for sure.
Okay, interesting.
That's a clip. But so we got one last question here for you before we get to a rapid fire. So you've played for the Haiti youth national team back in 2023. Is there any possibility that you play for the Canadian national team? And have you had any conversations with both federations to see which one is the best fit for your ambitions?
Obviously, it's my dream to play for the national team. So I just need to keep working hard, and the decision's up to the Canadian staff. So hopefully one day I could be on that stage.
That's great to hear, man. There's a lot of young CF Montreal Academy guys that are with the youth national team right now. So hopefully we see you in that context pretty soon. We like to wrap up the interviews that we do with players with a little bit of rapid fire. So we're just gonna first thing on top of your head, you give it to us right away. Okay. Poutine or smoked meat?
Pardon? Sorry, I didn't hear. Sorry.
Poutine or smoked meat?
Oh, Poutine for sure.
Canadians or Alouette?
Canadians.
Away stadium that you're most looking forward to playing in?
I say Inter Miami.
Who's your favorite player in the world right now?
Messi. Of all time, Messi. I say right now, Frimpong.
Interesting. Interesting. What's your favorite video game to play right now? What are you playing?
Fortnite.
I knew it.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. PS5 or Xbox?
PS5.
Good answer. Correct answer. As a Manchester City fan, Manchester United or Liverpool?
I think it has to be Liverpool.
Oh, hey, interesting. The toughest attacker that you have to play against in training. Who's got your number? Who makes it difficult?
Caden Clark, and he's very like agile, so it's hard to keep up with him.
All right, and last but not least, besides Messi, Suarez, the Inter Miami gang, who's a forward that you're most looking forward to facing this season? Who's on your hit list this year?
I say Zaha as well.
That's
Okay.
going to be interesting. Yeah, I'm really excited he's in MLS too. Yeah, and he's on your side too. That's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see that.